Hey guys, Static here, and today on Dungeon Guide we're going to be covering Veteran Hard Mode Darkshade Caverns 2. After you clear the first hallway, you'll come to this clearing where everyone seems to be sleeping. Don't move on from this point, they're going to come to life. If you move on from here and engage the first boss, these will come to life behind you, and then you'll be sandwiched and overrun. This first boss has a lot of adds around her. It's a good idea for your tank to pull her off to the side so you can deal with the trash unencumbered by her mechanics. Now that most of the trash is clear, we can see her mechanics clearly. She does this flame attack. If you're melee, you can just kite on the opposite side of the flame and you'll be fine. If you're range, obviously just stay at range for this fight. She also has a Shadow Cloak attack which will stun any player in the immediate vicinity and then try to follow that up with a Fear, which is bashable. As you enter the next boss area, you'll see there's a lot of adds here. There's a trick though. If everybody sprints to the end of the room and goes up the ramp, all the mobs die and you immediately engage the boss. This boss has two minions that your tank will have to taunt along with the boss. His first mechanic is an overhand smash, which I get staggered with here. In his next attack, he'll start slamming his hands into the ground, making rocks fall from the ceiling. This is general AoE damage and your healer can just heal you through it. There's also a resource draining debuff applied to the group in this fight, so you'll have to be careful and manage your resources accordingly. His minions will go underground, and when they resurface they are not taunted, and they do have knockdown attacks, so watch out for that. In the next hallway we'll find our first sentinel. These sentinels have heavy attacks which deal quite a bit of damage, so block those. They also have a conal attack where they spew hot oil, and then a spinning attack which will knock you down unless you dodge roll or block it. This next boss fight actually consists of 3 regular elites. Individually, their only mechanic is a jumping heavy attack which knocks you back for 1 second. There is, however, a shared mechanic between all 3 elite, that if one dies, the other 2 get a heal. So it's a good idea to burn these down as evenly as possible. Use a lot of AoE if you see one's taking more damage than the other, swap to a different one, try and keep them even all the way down, or else they'll get this heal. This next fight can be a real handful for a low DPS group. His first mechanic is he gets this shield. It will reflect all damage done to him back to the attacker. So you really can't damage him until certain key windows later on in this fight where everyone will drop their ultimates along with war horns and really focus him down. This occurs after you clear all of these mobs. Your tank's job here is actually not to tank the mobs. It's only to tank that boss and pull him away from the adds, making it easier for you and your group to burn them down, as the boss does have an AoE that he'll put down most of the time. You'll also find yourself randomly getting picked up and stunned in this fight, and you have to break free to continue to attack the mobs. It's important to note that even if there are adds still up when this boss drops his shields, stop what you're doing and focus the boss. It's the only time you can damage him, so be ready. It's almost time for him to drop, so watch our synergy here and how we handle this. He goes down, a meteor gets dropped, I do my rending ultimate, our tank drops a warhorn, even Wiko's Jesus beaming over there trying to help out with DPS, as this is the only point when you can get a good burn on him. As you see, we took him down to under 65% in one burn, so you'll probably have to do this 3 times to complete this fight. If your group has less burst potential than our group, then you could be here and repeat this process anywhere from 5 to 10 times until you take this boss down. The important thing to note here is just be persistent and save your ultimates and dump everything when his shield drops. It's very important to just burn hard during those phases. Another thing worth mentioning is some channeled attacks are not reflected by this boss's shield. Therefore, if your group gets this boss down to like 2% HP, but you don't quite finish him off during a burn phase, he goes back up and replenishes his shields. If you have a Templar in group with Jesus Beam, you can actually finish this boss even though his shields are up. In this fight, you're going to want to pull slowly. Pull right to left, Take it very slow and easy and burn down the big automaton bots first and watch out for their cleaves. This group, we're not going to do that. We're going to do something crazy here. 90% of groups, probably more than that, cannot pull off what we're about to do here, which is pulling everything all at once, dropping ultimates, dropping warhorns, having your healer drop a nova to reduce the damage that your group takes, and burning everything down at once. This usually cannot be done. It's a rare occurrence, so like I said, take your pulls slow here. Start from one side, poke one thing, let them come to you, and really focus down the Centurions first. First things first, when you get to this boss room, make sure everybody enters at one time and runs over to the side. Otherwise, someone can get locked out of this fight, and then you'll be kind of screwed. This is one of those weird boss fights where normal mode is more difficult than hard mode. There are switches in the center of the room that you can swap to control what phase of attack this boss is on, which will give you one key rather than the two. This is more effort and more difficult than actually just doing it without using those levers. As you see, the Engine Guardian is on fire phase right now, which is the most dangerous as it pumps out the most damage. He'll do this spinning flame attack and then also have random meteor attacks that just land on a random member of the group. So you really want to stay mobile during this phase. The next phase is poison. The entire room becomes filled with poisonous gas, and you're going to be taking quite a bit of poison damage during this phase. So make sure your healer's paying attention and is ready for this attack. The last phase is a short one, and it's lightning arcs that just hit a random member of the group. It's actually the least damaging one, so it's the least dangerous. The easiest and safest way to fight this boss is just to do it at range. It's harder to do a lot of damage if you're a melee character this way, but it is safer. The reason being, when he switches directions, as he will right here, you never know which direction that flame is going to come out. You may have been up meleeing underneath him with the flame on the opposite side of you, but when he randomly just switches directions, his flame also does a 180, and all of a sudden you're standing in fire. So the boss can't be taunted by a tank. Does that mean you should come in with 3 DPS? Well, you can, but there's also a lot of adds in this fight. And if you do have a full-time tank, it's a lot easier to keep them wrangled up and to be able to DPS them down more efficiently. There's one thing I always notice a lot of groups try to do in this fight, and that's backpedal away from him when he's coming at you with fire. Well, you can't really outrun him in a lot of situations, especially if you're a slow-moving character. So your best bet is to utilize the middle of the map. Don't forget that you can go in there where those levers are. Don't touch any levers, but you can go in there to get behind him, which is a much safer option than trying to just outrun him. This is a long fight. It's just hard to keep damage on him because he's always moving. So realistically, the safest way to do this fight is to really just, as I said before, stay at range and then also stay together. If you stay together as a group, your healer's always going to be in range to heal you. Your tank's going to be able to wrangle up all of the adds, making it a lot easier to burn them down and then get back to pressuring the boss. Persistence is really key on this fight. So stick together with your group, move as one, use the middle of the map when he's coming at you to get behind him, and keep working together till you bring him down. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Please smash that like and subscribe button below for future content releases. I really appreciate the support everybody's been showing me. So I want to just say thank you to each and every one of you. It really means a lot to me. See you guys later and catch you next time.